on tower, runway 25, clear for takeoff. Cessna departing ahead is right downwind departure.
Welcome to another SimPilot 57 video. Today we're once again at Kpvd, the airport in Providence, Rhode Island, and we'll be flying to Kpou, Dutchess County in Poughkeepsie, New York. One of the requirements of earning your private pilot's license is to make a cross-country trip of at least 150 nautical miles with full stop landings at 3 points. I made this flight in 1989 as the first leg in fulfilling that requirement. Today I'd like to recreate it using the A2A Cessna 172. So let's take a look at the flight plan and we'll get started. This is a flight of about 110 nautical miles that'll take us over most of the state of Connecticut. Dutchess County is just east of the Hudson River. I remember being told before I left that if you cross the river, you've gone too far. We'll be leaving from the Providence Airport, Kpvd, and we can track a course of approximately 280 degrees from the Providence VOR at 115.6 to the Hartford VOR at 114.9. The city of Hartford and the Connecticut River around the area of the Hartford VOR are good VFR checkpoints. From the Hartford VOR we can track to the Kingston VOR of 117.6, and that'll bring us to within a few miles of the airport. So let's get into the cockpit and get ready to fly. Here we are in the cockpit. We'll do our normal pre-flight routine. We'll remove the control lock, power the airplane, lower the flaps. We'll check our fuel. Looks like about 15 gallons in each tank. We'll turn off the power. I'll go out and do a walk around and we'll be ready to go. We're all set with the pre-flight and the walk around, so let's get the engine started. And we can get our headsets on while it warms up. We'll put on some lights and power the radios. And we'll tune 124.2 on the radio to listen to the Providence ATIS.
Providence, airport information 01720, wind calm, visibility greater than 20 miles. Sky condition 6,400, scattered. Temperature 2 or 2.16, altimeter 3009er, ILS, runway 5 in use. Landing and departing runway 5. VFR aircraft say direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact, you have Zolo.
And we'll put up the flaps. And 121.9 on the radios for ground.
Providence ground, Cessna November 2040 Echo. Request taxi for class departure with Alpha Cessna November 2040 Echo. Taxi 2 and hold short of runway 5 using taxiway Foxtrot Victor Tango Echo Sierra. Contact tower on 120.7 when ready. Taxi 2 and hold short runway 5 via taxiway Foxtrot Victor Tango Echo Sierra. Cessna 40 Echo.
Okay, we'll close the window and we'll taxi out to runway 5. And we'll pull off to the side, turn into the wind, and do a run-up. We'll run it up to 1800 RPM and check both magnetos. Everything looks good, so we'll taxi up to the whole short line. And we'll tune the tower at 120.7 and tell them we're ready for takeoff.
Providence Tower, Cessna, November 2040 Echo, ready for departure to the west at runway 5.
Cessna, November 2040 Echo, clear for takeoff, runway 5, west departure approved.
Clear for takeoff, runway 5, Cessna 40 Echo.
Okay, we put on our strobe and our landing light. We're ready to go. Full power, and we'll stay on the runway center line. We're looking for 65 knots, and then we'll pull back gently on the yoke. 65 knots, there we go. We'll try to hold the runway center line, some right rudder, and we'll watch our airspeed. The pitch will control our airspeed as we climb out. A good rate of climb speed for the Cessna 172 is about 80 knots. We'll start a turn to the left. We're trying to intercept a course of approximately 280 degrees. First, we'll be tracking outbound from the Providence VOR because we're too far from the Hartford VOR to pick up a signal. So the VOR says the 280 course is to our left, so we'll turn to a heading of less than 280 degrees. When we intercept the 280 degree course, we'll turn back to the right and center the needle. So we'll fly a heading of about 255 degrees and watch the needle on the VOR. At some point the needle will start to move back towards the center of the VOR, and ideally we'd want to turn back to 280 degrees, the course, as the needle centers.
Cessna 40 Echo, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Then we'd have to figure out any wind correction angles. And here comes the needle on the VOR, so we'll begin our turn back to the right and try and center it on 280 degrees. That looks pretty good. So now we'll just have to watch the needle and make any adjustments for wind. A wind coming from our left would blow the plane to the right, so we'd have to fly a heading of less than 280 degrees to hold the 280 degree course. And it's really just trial and error until we find a crab angle that will hold the course. We're at our 4,500 feet. We chose 4,500 feet because when you're flying VFR above 3,000 feet, you choose a even number if you're on a westerly heading plus 500. So I'm going to set the autopilot to hold the altitude, and we'll continue to track out to the Hartford VOR. We're picking up a signal now from the Hartford VOR at 114.9. So we'll switch the VOR to 114.9. We can see the needle has moved to the left a little, so we're going to have to fly a little bit of a heading to the left to re-intercept. And then we'll make any new wind corrections and continue to track out to the Hartford VOR. We're about 2 miles from the Hartford VOR now, so we'll hold our heading and we'll watch the indicator on the VOR as it switches from to from. We can also see that we're coming up on the Connecticut River, a good VFR reference point. I'm just making small corrections to the heading to try to fly directly over the VOR. I can see we're coming up on Station Passage, so we'll just hold this heading and watch the indicator. And there's the from indication. We'll dial in our new course of 285 degrees and make corrections to intercept that course. And we'll continue tracking outbound until we pick up the signal from the Kingston VOR. We're inbound to the Kingston VOR and we're about 28 miles out, so let's see if we can dial in the ATIS at Dutchess County.
Dutchess Airport Information, Charlie, 1823 Zulu, wind calm, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky condition 6,300, scattered, temperature 2.16, altimeter 3009, ILS, runway 6, and visual, runway 7 in use. Landing and departing runway 6 and runway 7. VFR aircraft today direction of flight. All aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact US Charlie. Dutchess Airport Information.
And we'll call a tower and tell them we're inbound.
Dutchess Tower, Cessna, November 2040 Echo is 30 miles east with Charlie. LIS, Cessna, November 2040 Echo, Dutchess Tower, entered right traffic, runway 6. Altimeter 3009er. Entered right, traffic, runway 6, Cessna 40 Echo.
We're about 20 miles now from the Kingston VOR, so I'm going to begin a slow descent. We'll hold our course to the Kingston VOR and descend to about 2,100, 2,200 feet, which according to the chart is the minimum safe altitude around the Dutchess County Airport. We're about 5 miles out now from the Kingston VOR. I can see the Dutchess County field just to the left of the nose. We're cleared for a right downwind for runway 6, so I'm going to turn out to the left and maneuver ourselves so that we can enter the traffic pattern at a 45-degree angle. The field is right off our nose. When we're about a mile or two out, we'll make a turn to the left and enter the downwind of the traffic pattern for runway 6. I can see the Hudson River beyond the field. We're downwind, traffic pattern altitude, and good speed. I'll beam the touchdown point. We'll begin our descent.
40 Echo, cleared to land, runway 60. Cleared to land, runway 60. Cessna 40 Echo.
We can start our turn to base. And then we'll add a second notch of flap. We can start our turn to final and hopefully end up lined up with the runway. We want to keep a good eye on the airspeed here as we're flying low and slow. About 70 knots is good. We'll try to cross the threshold around 65.
Cessna 40 Echo, exit runway when able. Cessna 40 Echo, contact ground on 121.8. Going at 121.8, Cessna 40 Echo. Duchess Brown, Cessna November 2040 Echo, request taxi to parking. Cessna November 2040 Echo, taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Foxtrot Alpha Golf Delta. Taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Foxtrot Alpha Golf Delta. Cessna 40 Echo.
Well, we made it. I remember during the real flight, I actually landed on runway 24. I got out, I got my logbook signed, and I continued on. I flew over the Bridgeport Airport in Connecticut, and then on to Barnstable in Massachusetts out near the Cape. I made another landing there, had the logbook signed, and continued back to Green. And that completed my long cross-country requirement for the private pilot's license. Well, I hope you enjoyed the flight. We'll park the airplane and I'll be back with some more soon.